I got to tell you, I think it's going to be a close series. I think they split the regular season 2-2, right?
Yes.
I'm going to say Cavs in 6 or 7.
If the Cavs go back to that, they have been a very, very difficult team to gauge. They seem like they're sliding downhill, but if they go back to that and they give those lineups big minutes, I think they have too much offense for Orlando.
The Cleveland Cavaliers just did the funniest thing ever, but at the same time, many people are pissed about it. The Cavs came into the final game of the season as the 4 seed, but both the Knicks and the Bucks were 1 game ahead of them, and Cleveland owned the tiebreaker. So in the case that the Cavs won and both the Knicks and Bucks lost, Cleveland would have been the 2 seed, and that was almost about to happen, and the Cavs realized that, so they subbed out everyone and put in the Canton charge to finish out the 4th quarter so they could lose and stay matched up against the Orlando Magic instead of moving up to the 2 seed and having to face either playoff Jimmy Butler or the 76ers, who just got Joel Embiid back. So this was a pretty smart move by the Cavs, but to me personally, I just didn't like the way they did it, because if they were going to, then they shouldn't have risked injury and played the starters for 3 whole quarters. And also, it shows weakness, because at the end of the day, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And I still think the Magic are a really good team, and this series is going to be a dogfight, and that's what I'm going to be talking all about in this video. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 20k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so if you've been paying attention to the Cavs all year, then you know why the Cavs did what they did yesterday. But if you haven't, basically, the season was full of injuries. Guys really never got into a rhythm with each other outside of that 20-game stretch where they were red hot, and basically, JB Bickerstaff was never able to get this team going. And I think that winning streak saved his job, because if it wasn't for that, this would be a play-in team. And if the Cavs lose in the first round, JB is going to get fired immediately. So obviously, he knew he needed a favorable first round matchup, and he sacrificed having to face the Celtics in the second round for it, which is kind of pathetic to me, but at the same time, I wanted the Magic as well. And the thing about this Cavs team that really isn't getting talked about enough right now is how much unknown there is. We saw what this team was like over the winter with everyone healthy. They literally didn't lose. And even while they've been starting to get their guys back, they've always been missing a few critical role players like Dean Wade, who doesn't get recognized enough for what he does. He's a solid defender, led the Cavs to a comeback win against the best team in the league, Boston Celtics, pretty much on his own, and the Cavs have a great record when he plays. And I think in terms of the roster, there is a big drop off from the 9th guy in their rotation to the 10th. So it is very important to have everyone healthy. And going back to JB Bickerstaff, he did so many things during this season that frustrated me in so many ways. And don't get me wrong, he has the ability to be a good coach. He made some great adjustments while guys were out, but it almost seems at times that when the starting lineup is healthy, he stops coaching because he doesn't need to make adjustments. And he also has really bad rotations at times throughout games and forgets situational awareness. Like, there were multiple times this season where it was the second night of a back-to-back and Sam Merrill wouldn't even see the floor once while Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland were being run into the ground. It just didn't make sense. I kind of think Merrill deserved a little bit more time on the court than he got, especially considering it was just the regular season. And one more thing the Cavs really struggled with throughout the season was their late game execution. And it started from the home opener where they blew a 10-point lead in 90 seconds to the OKC Thunder. It was like they forgot how to play basketball, and there was just no offensive execution at all. And because of that, usually the opponent gets the ball in transition opportunities where they can get fast scores. Anyways, I don't want to be too negative in this video because the Cavs are now in the playoffs, they are pretty much getting healthy, and who knows what they will be able to do. And I want to talk about how they match up against this Orlando Magic team that really found themselves this season, and it finally feels like they are headed in the direction their front office has been building them to go for a long time. The roster is filled with young talent, and they also have guys that are starting to make a name for themselves on the national stage, with Paolo Banchero making it to the All-Star game. I think the Cavs match up with this team pretty well size-wise and pace-wise, and this series is going to come down to the play of Donovan Mitchell. He needs to be Utah Donovan, not the one that folded against the Knicks last year. And we all know Kobe Altman brought in more shooting around him in the offseason, so defenses can't just collapse on him inside. I know the big storyline about Donovan all year is that he's going to end up leaving Cleveland, but to me, that's not even really an issue. I honestly think that he hasn't even proven himself yet that he's able to lead this team. because so far, I've only seen him fold in actual big moments. So yeah, he is a superstar and is in control of his future, but if he chokes again, I don't think any other team is going to go out of their way to get him and sacrifice their future in doing so. But it's not only Spida that hasn't lived up to the expectations of this fan base. I think that we all thought Darius Garland was the guy after getting that Supermax extension, but he just plays so timid now and isn't the same player at all that he was 2 years ago. And as I've said millions of times, it feels like him and Mitchell take away from each other instead of helping each other succeed. And I just remember when they would get the bigs involved in the lob game so much with an occasional unstoppable floater, and that part of their game just isn't there anymore. But defensively, this team really can keep themselves in any game against anyone, as long as Wade, LeVert, and Strus are all healthy, because without them, the defensive rating has dropped significantly. Anyways, the Cavs surprisingly are the team coming into this matchup against the Magic that have more experience, but they don't have good experience though. They just know exactly what not to do. And I think a good start in Game 1 is going to be everything in this series, because after losing to the Knicks last year in Game 1, the pressure was on from the jump, and they just folded from there. As for the Magic, their physicality is something that worries me a little bit, but this team reminds me a lot of where the Cavs were last season. They are a young team that exceeded expectations, the fans are excited, and the team has nothing but good vibes. I think with it being a playoff atmosphere, the Magic are going to lean heavily on their stars in Banchero and Wagner. But the Cavs need to be careful because it just seems like there's always some role player on whoever they face that comes in and tears up this team, and it's usually a corner shooter. For whatever reason, JB Bickerstaff has never made the adjustment, and this team just gives up so many open corner threes. One thing the Magic definitely can capitalize on is that the Cavs have to win this series. All the pressure is on them, and obviously, if Cleveland loses, Bickerstaff will be fired, and the Mitchell rumors will heat up. But I do feel like as a Cavs fan myself, that we have way too high of expectations for this team. We gotta remember that Evan Mobley is only 22 years old, which in a lot of cases is the age that guys get drafted. Garland is just in a slump and is also super young, and this core has only been together for 2 seasons with all the injuries and stuff. So I'm not making an excuse for poor performance, but only one team can win a championship every season, and there are other teams that are way further along in their rebuild than Cleveland is. And then when the Cavs lose, everyone wants to get rid of everything and restart. Remember, it took the Nuggets quite some time to finally win with Jokic, and the Celtics haven't even won one yet. The only thing that does kind of suck is that it's going to be hard to improve this roster from here. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are both going to be on max deals, obviously, and then you know Mobley is going to have to be paid as well. And the Garland contract really is going to hurt the ability for this team to do anything if he doesn't bounce back into being an all-star type of guy. And don't get me wrong, he isn't a bad player, he's a top 15 guard in the league, but he's being paid to be top 5, and he's just not that. He's a liability defensively and turns the ball over a lot. Anyways, this matchup in round 1 is going to be very interesting, and even though this team has lost a lot of hype, I cannot wait to see what happens, because a round 1 win might be exactly what this team needs to get hot, and they've already proven they can hang with the Celtics. That's really all I've got for this one. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly means the world. And also one more thing, please follow me on Instagram, because I am posting tons of cool content on there. But anyways, until next time, I will see you all later.